Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Midnight, a South Korean movie with a kind of an intriguing premise. Smash the like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 8. They're available at Amazon.com and Kindle. Unlimited is free. Now, the main characters here are deaf, and this young woman here and her friend, they're both deaf. And one night, she has a close encounter, picking up her friend with a serial killer, and she witnesses him killing another woman. I'm not sure if it's her friend who gets killed, but she is definitely a witness. And now the serial killer's after him, so it's a cat and mouse game, with the additional thing that she's deaf. So that to me is interesting because it puts more, and this is the star, Jin Kai-ju. It's a South Korean movie, so South Korean actress. Whoops, my bad. And it's called Midnight, directed by and written by Kwon Oh-seung, doing the heavy lifting. Nice. And you can see him here, the creepy guy. He's the serial killer, and she is the witness. So he has to kill her in order to save himself. I like the premise. I like the premise a lot. Now, obviously, it's another South Korean movie, but they've been kicking it. I mean, the movies they've been coming up with, they've been great. Not good, but great. Really well made. The music's great. The acting's great. The great thing about it, too, at least from my perspective, sometimes you see a movie and you see certain stars and you go, well, I know that guy's the killer, or he's not going to be a victim because he's in the whole movie, right? So it kind of ruins it for you. See, with a South Korean cast, I don't really know these actors. So, if I just watched the movie, I wouldn't know the guy's a serial killer because I wouldn't recognize him as the star. See, if I watched a movie and it was about a serial killer, and I knew the star of the movie was Bruce Willis, I know he plays the serial killer, or the guy he's after, or the guy who captures him, right? So if the movie's mainly if it's a dark movie about serial killers and there's no other name in it, I know Bruce Willis, and the movie's about the serial killer and not the guy who captures them, I know it's going to be a Bruce Willis murdering people. Not that I don't think he would take a role like that. It'd be weird for him. Maybe now, late in his career, but... So I like the look of the cast. They're young. Everything's on the table here in South Korea. It doesn't appear that they're worried about, do we have a diverse enough cast? I don't think, do we have too many South Koreans in our movie? Oh, no. So you're not bogged down by a bunch of nonsense that Hollywood seems to be bogged down in. On top of the fact that this is just the sort of movie they could make and tout as, we have disabled people in this movie, and yet they can't get it together to even do that. So I like the premise. So the first act would probably be the deaf girl. Establishing her deafness is kind of important to the audience, and how she gets around, how she drives her car. Apparently she has this little device to alert her of things. To the left and right, and she depends on her, seeing her friend, and then she sees a motorcycle heading her way because the little machine sort of tells her that something's coming, and she could, there's some noises, and then she has to look, and she sees the motorcycle, and her friend's nearly run over, but fortunately it misses her, and on the street here, and then that sort of sets up the movie a little bit, and that device, which will probably be important later. Then either at the end of the first act or the beginning of the second act, serial killer emerges and kidnaps this poor woman and brings her into an alley or a van or something in the darkness here, and like the woman's shoes come flying out of the darkness, and the deaf girl sees them, and then she goes to investigate, and then there's a shot of the serial killer saying, "Don't touch the shoes or you're dead." So in other words, he knows that if she investigates too deeply, he's going to have to kill her. And then, of course, she does, and then the guy attacks her, but she gets away. So the second act is mostly the serial killer trying to find her or her getting away. And then the third act is how she eventually probably beats the serial killer and kills him, or tricks him into dying, because probably her deafness helps her in some way. Like, it would help you in this situation, right? Like, if you're fighting for your very life and somebody like swings an axe at your head and it doesn't hit you but it lands right nearby, it's going to make a big noise that's probably very jarring. But if you're deaf, it's not going to jar you. Like, that wouldn't make her flinch at all unless she saw it. Maybe if she saw it she'd flinch, but because she doesn't see it, it doesn't bother her, and it sort of gives her those extra couple of seconds to have her wits about her. So I like that part of the premise, because as screenwriters we can use that, right? We can use that. So maybe she tricks him into a place with a lot of loud noises to distract him, but it doesn't bother her, but it's going to bother him because he can hear. And so she uses her deafness to her advantage. Kind of like, when a blind person like shuts out all the lights in one of these types of movies, right? So this looks good. And again, I mean, because, and here's the, he's in Squid Game. I don't watch that show. So, star of acclaimed show Squid Game. Yeah, I mean, South Korea they're just killing it, man. They're just killing it with all their movies. I like the logo even. Just a little bit of blood, midnight, and a little bit of blood. It's good. Good stuff. Good stuff from the South Koreans. Guys, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing good work. You're doing good work in South Korea. I love your zombie movies. I love a lot of your movies. So I hope they keep coming. I mean, you're really going through, while we're going through the worst run of movies of all time in Hollywood, I think, you guys are going through a renaissance. You're having your 70s renaissance, cinematic renaissance now, I think, in some respects, or at least you're at the beginning of one. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan, who just won't stop ruining my takes. Right, Little Joan? All right. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. We did a live stream today. Remember the live stream? You were good for that. You were very good for that. And we'll see you tomorrow.